A classic Battlefield 4 map is officially returning to Battlefield 6? Golmud Railway. But how? When? And more importantly, why? Some people love it, some people hate it, and we will tell you all about it. Welcome to Battlefield 1 Podcast, your number one Battlefield related podcast on the planet. My name is Tom, also known as TheLankySoldier. I'm your host as usual. Grab a drink, grab a snack, close your Battlefield subreddit, whatever you're doing, just enjoy the show. And let's talk some news about Battlefield 6 that happened in the last week. And I mean, there's loads of stuff that happened in the last week that just quite a lot. But yeah, lots of things to discuss. Hopefully I won't ramble too much, so let's talk about Battlefield.
But then when you've got Angel screaming, Angel does it again! And
that was something, right?
That was something.
I'm sorry! You cancelled the support for the game a month ago!
Why would they even host a trade?
I don't know!
And I sit down and he picks up one donut and eats it. So you want to like QA games?
When the rubber meets the road, they're gonna be like, oh my god, I don't like seeing Mario get his skull smashed.
Oh, I would love
It
to see
doesn't
that.
work.
I would love to
Yeah,
see that.
again.
Okay, first and foremost, thank you all the listeners. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the Patreon supporters, supporting us, with your financial help and all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much. It helps us a lot. Thank you for everything. And just our dear listeners, thank you for joining us and just listen to us talk about Battlefield. Share us on Reddit, leave a review, of course. Tell us why you love or dislike Golmud Railway, whatever the case may be, right? So just interact with us and help us out. And of course I have to apologize because apparently I lied on the last episode. I said that Ray is gonna be joining us for this next episode, which is this one you're listening right now. But he literally messaged me yesterday saying that he has a 12-hour shift. And I'm like, the hell? So that's that. And there's a jet literally flying above my head. Love it. Anyway, so I'm sorry that I lied. I said Ray is gonna be with me on this episode. And there's loads of talks, lots of conversations that I would love to have with him right now on the podcast, but my dude is working, doing a 12-hour shift, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll host another one by myself, because Ray was the one that said, oh, they're gonna bring Golmud Railway one way or another. I can feel it. He's been saying that for the last couple of months. And lo and behold, Golmud Railway is actually being remade for Battlefield 6, so my dude was actually right. So that's that. And I was actually thinking bring a guest because Ray's not available, but I realized this particular episode is gonna be a bit technical with loads of news and everything. So I'm like, there's no point bringing a guest because the guest will be a bit of waste for this type of episode and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and of course if you listen to our annual review that happened before New Year's, which was the public Patreon episode, you would know that there will be a couple of more episodes later this year that I'll host by myself because of the situation that we're in with him and the stuff that is happening in the future. So I'll have to host by myself. So like I said, I'll probably gonna bring more guests and bring other people and so on. So there will be a couple of episodes where it's gonna be just me talking about Battlefield. So if you watch the public episode, the Patreon public episode, the annual review of our progress, you will know what I'm talking about. So anyway, this is how this particular episode, this one you're listening right now, will go. So this is what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna cover some quick impressions of the latest patch. Nothing much happened, but hey, I want to mention a couple of things. Then we're gonna go with official news that happened with the blog post, discuss the new maps and leaks, and what it means for all the Battlefield players, which is us, what it means for us in the future for Battlefield 6, all that kind of stuff. So let's just go straight to the topic, I guess. Let's go with the first one, which is the update that happened on Tuesday. So last episode I was recording when the patch notes dropped, so I was thinking, they literally dropped. I was recording and I'm like, you know what, there's no point covering them on the podcast, on that particular episode, on the last episode. So I'm like, I'll leave it for the next one. And when I finally played Battlefield 6 after a couple of weeks of just not launching the game. And you know what? So I played with our friend Omni, who's in our Discord. Of course, Discord link is in the description. I played with him, and honestly, I had fun. It's been a couple of weeks since I played Battlefield 6, And, coming back after that break, after playing other games, or, just chilling, vibing, you know what? No matter what kind of problems we might have with Battlefield 6 is still a really fun and good Battlefield game. Like, it really is, And taking that break and finally playing Battlefield 6, with a friend, it kind of gave me a different perspective, but at the same time it didn't. It just kind of basically confirmed my opinion that I had about the game many months ago. And yeah, it's still a very good Battlefield game, and we're in so much better position, in a much better situation we are right now than we were ever with Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, Battlefield 2042. It's night and day difference. I'd rather be in this situation where we are right now with Battlefield 6, people complain, lack of content, lack of this thing, and so on. You know what? The game is still fun. The game is still fun. It has problems, of course, don't get me wrong. There's so many problems that I would love to fix, but we're still in a much better situation than we were with Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and 2042. I think we're in a golden age of Battlefield, and I think we're doing well. And 90% player base left, they could not retain it. And like I said on the last episode, just need one good patch, and the whole player base will come back and enjoy this game. And Battlefield 6 is still very good, Like I said, I took a couple of weeks off, finally played it with a friend, and I had fun, I really had fun. So Battlefield 6 is still really fun. So anyway, what did the update do? Well, basically nothing, but you can customize your scope reticle, which is fine. You can change the color and all that kind of stuff. Call of Duty charges, that kind of stuff. So that's great. If you can change the color of your reticle, good. That's a good change, They need to add the opacity setting, so we can make the dot or the dot on our scope a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Thick, less opaque. It's just a dot. Just like a green dot, a red dot, a blue dot, a pink dot, whatever color you choose. It's like it kind of needs to be more thicker. It's still not that visible, and that's my biggest problem with that. But I'm glad we're going to that direction. So hopefully next patch with Season 2, we're gonna have opacity setting, so we can actually make the red, our dot in the scope a bit more thicker. So that will be a great thing. So yeah, you can change the color and all that kind of stuff. And in just yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, it happened that you can play Portal experiences that are verified, by Battlefield Studios, that are like in the main menu. They're finally running at 60 Hz, like normal multiplayer, instead of 30 Hz. So if you join any Portal server, all the Portal servers, no matter how the experience, is running at 30 Hz. But if it's a verified experience by Battlefield Studios, so someone, a developer came in and, said like, oh yeah, this is a good experience that people should experience, that will be running at 60 Hz now. So if it's like in the... Jesus Christ, the jets above my head. My God. The time I choose to record is when the jets are the loudest. So I was saying, so Portal servers, right? If 30 Hz if you join anyone, but if you join through the multiplayer, section, the featured section, wherever, like, on that stupid menu that we have right now in Battlefield 6, that means it's verified, and it will run at 60 Hz. And for anyone that doesn't know what that means, is basically it's the tick rate, the update speed for the server. So the bigger the tick rate, the less chance you're gonna die behind corner or something like that, or the hit rate is gonna be bad, or whatever the case may be. You're gonna get a much more consistent, smoother experience, when it comes to just networking, right? To multiplayer games, all that kind of stuff, right? So that's what that's what it is when we're talking about 60 Hz, right? So you will get a much consistent experience in Battlefield Portal right now with verified servers, verified experiences. Now, do Battlefield RedSec at 60 Hz at all the time. Now we ballin'. So I'm glad the Portal one is getting the 60 Hz, so that's great. I know RedSec is 30 Hz when you start the game, and it becomes like 60 Hz middle of the game, because when there's like less players. So make it 60 somehow, I'm not the engineer, make it 60 through the whole match. now we're in a good spot. Now we're in a really good spot. So hopefully that's gonna be a thing. So yeah, that's what happened in the last patch. Nothing. That's it. So apparently there was some other stuff, bug fixes and everything. But I'm not gonna tell you about the bug fixes. Who gives a damn? So yeah, the update did nothing. Even the mini pass thing still haven't came out. I mean, great. I'm recording this on the 23rd of January on Friday, almost 2 p.m. right now. Maybe in 2 hours we'll learn that the new mini pass will come in. So if you're listening this on Tuesday when the when the podcast is out, when the episode is out, and you're listening on Patreon on Saturday, sorry, like I don't know if the mini pass is coming out now because there's still plenty of time until the season 2. So I have a feeling they're gonna do it next week. Anyway, so yeah, nothing happened this update. So moving on, let's move on to something more interesting. Okay, so Battlefield Studios dropped a community update. Another community update that they do every couple of months. And it's about Battlefield Labs, Season 2, and all the testing they're gonna do in the labs in the future. So here's the general points. I'm not gonna read you the whole blog post because you can read it yourself. It's on the Battlefield website, it's on main social media, on Battlefield to Twitter, whatever the case may be. Like, you can read it yourself. If you really want to read it, or just go read it yourself. So, but I'm just gonna cover just general points, the more interesting points, because you're listening to me rambling about Battlefield, so I might as well make it more entertaining for you guys. So here's the general points they said in that community blog post that they did. So Labs is coming back, and there will be a playtest this Friday, which is this Friday I'm recording. If you listen to this after the 23rd of January, it already happened. Leaks are already all over Reddit. I don't have to tell you much. I'm recording this before the playtest because Patreon users need to get early access for Saturday. So that's why I'm recording a bit early. And Ray's not available, so I might as well, I might as well do it early as possible. So Patreon users can listen early. So yeah, so the playtest is happening today. Already happened if you're listening, like I said, listening later. And all the leaks and everything is there. But so anyway, not the point. That they're gonna play the new map, Contaminated. So, which is the new Season 2 map, which we're gonna talk about a bit later. So they're gonna do vehicle gameplay, redesign. They're gonna rework all the stuff, quirks and everything with the vehicles, including air vehicles. They're gonna add aircraft radar, that's being reworked, all that kind of stuff. Little Bird is being added, so rejoice all pilots. There's already footage of it. Some Chinese player, managed to go into the server or just host a self-server and just fly around with the Little Bird. So that's exciting. Speaking of vehicle gameplay and the whole redesign, what they're gonna do, apparently they're also gonna look at vehicle interactions with RPGs and other launchers. Because apparently there's loads of inconsistency, which I agree. I'm level 54 with the tank right now in Battlefield 6. And yeah, my journey to get that, red badge, that elite badge, whatever. Yeah, there was loads of inconsistencies with RPGs and rockets, all that kind of stuff. And just I think I bitched about, what's it called? The active radar. Not active radar, what was it called? Active protection. APS, active protection system, basically that blocks rockets as they're coming your way. You press it, you have like a green light around the tank, and it basically destroys the rocket coming your way. But there's like an inconsistency. When you press it, you still have to wait a second or two before it comes up, and it's still rocket hits you like 3-4 seconds later, because for some reason, just because the green light is active, the APS is active, the vehicle still takes the rocket, like you don't have it active. It's like it's really inconsistent. Like there's a bit of delay, all that kind of stuff. It's just like it's not fun. So I hope they work on that. So if they work on vehicle gameplay redesign, so I hope, and they mentioned interactions with RPGs and all that kind of stuff, I hope they work on that too. So because that needs a lot of work. All right, so moving on. They also mentioned the blog post, infantry combat is being improved too, with hit registration, combat consistency. You just make the game a bit more, again, consistent. All the infantry combat consistent, less dying behind corners, or whatever the case may be, or the hit registration being a bit delayed, or you're getting the instantly killed because of the super bullet bug, or whatever the case may be. So that's all networking and netcode. It's all being addressed. And as David Sutherland said, which is actually mentioned in the blog post, it's not just one thing that you can fix. It's like many things that you need to fix. It's a very complicated thing to work on because of this so many moving parts to make this game feel good. So hopefully the Labs will address that. So moving on to the blog post, Battle Royale Solos is also being worked on, which is I've been crying about for a while. Listen to the previous episodes where I talk about that. So yeah, Battle Royale Solos in RedSec, that will be playtested in Labs too. And apparently it will be a much different experience comparing to duos and quads because it's solos, right? Tanks and, LEVs and transport helis, all that kind of stuff, the contracts, the missions, whatever the case may be, right? That needs to be a bit rebalanced and reworked, all that kind of stuff. So sounds like it will be a different experience, which I don't mind, honestly. At the same time, I kind of want to keep it the same as it is, just because consistency between, different modes, like, solos, duos, trios, quads, right? But I kind of get why it needs to be a bit separate, because solos, it's a bit different experience. So, kind of get, but I don't know, it depends what they're going to do in the Labs, but I hope they won't change it too much, just because of the consistency reason. But if something needs to be changed, that's okay, because I agree the vehicles could be a bit rebalanced for solos. That's for sure. I agree on that. So that's that. And of course, the highlight of the blog post that he posted, of course, is they're remaking Golmud Railway for Battlefield 6, and it's a perfect map, they say, to test all the upcoming changes they mentioned in this blog post. So the vehicle gameplay, the infantry gameplay, the air vehicles, the jets and helis and everything. So basically, what they're saying is, if anything works on Golmud Railway, they will work on if anything works on that map, anything will work on any map. That's the idea they're going with, and I will talk about Golmud Railway in a moment. But yeah, I kind of see the vision here. So from all the maps you could pick to remake for Battlefield 6, all the maps you could have picked from any Battlefield game, you go with Golmud Railway. I'll talk about that in a moment, but just it's a very interesting choice. Really interesting choice. Jesus, the Jets. I will mention the Jets because they're still annoying the shit out of me. Anyway, so Golmud Railway, it's a choice. But anyway, so long story short, it was a nice little blog that created a lot of excitement. Like I said in last episode, EA has the luxury to wait a little bit, take their time, and make sure the next big update is actually amazing. And if the update is amazing, people will forget what they complained about in the last couple of months and just play the game, Like I said at the start of this episode, Battlefield 6 is still a very good Battlefield game. It's still a very good Battlefield game. And they just need one good update to bring people back. Now, like I said in the last episode, I don't think Season 2 will be the perfect season, but I have a feeling it will be a really good season, and it will bring some people back, maybe even a lot of people back. They experience the new map and everything, and they'll probably realize, well, this is not exactly what I still need, so some people will, still not gonna log in and play, or just try out for a couple of games and just leave again. But if you can satisfy the player base that is still there, with good changes to the game, it's only gonna make the game grow, in long term. So just they know they just have to release a good update. That's all they have to do. Release a good Season 2 update. That's all you have to do. And then we can talk about Season 3, Season 4, and so on, and until 2-3 years until the next game. So they know that. EA knows that. And this blog post brought a lot of excitement back, which is really good. And of course, it also raised kind of a couple of more questions, and people are a bit more concerned about certain stuff. For example, the new map looks a bit questionable, and from all the maps, like I said, they could bring, they picked Golmud. It's a choice, alright? It's a really choice, alright? So, it's a mixed bag blog post. Loads of excitement, loads of like eyebrows were raised. Carlo Ancelotti raising his eyebrow. That's what happened here. And there's loads of mixed reactions. Excitement and worry at the same time. So that was the blog post basically. And I'm kind of glad they're addressing all the important stuff that Battlefield does need, but they also should mention something here that I think is one of the biggest problems with the game, is the challenges. They haven't mentioned the challenges, all that kind of stuff. They haven't mentioned the progression. I think the progression needs a rework. I think the progression is one of the weakest points in Battlefield 6. I think it's one of the weakest points in the game. And they never mentioned progression, or are they gonna do anything with progression, all that kind of stuff. I think progression needs a rework. Well, maybe not a complete rework, but updates to make it a bit more better and more user-friendly, I would say. So, because the challenge screen and all that kind of stuff, the challenges can be worked on. Like I like the idea with what they're going with, but at the same time, it's not that user-friendly, and it's like someone is just like, it's a bit stupid. So, for example, the camos, like I think me and Ray talked about 2 episodes ago, like the camo system in Battlefield 6 is dog shit, and we personally would like to see something else, something different, something that makes more sense and something more engaging and more fun, because right now it's not fun or engaging. It's just like you're forcing people to play a specific gun to unlock a specific camo they want, and the weapon progression is so fucking slow in this game. I played yesterday actually, a little bit, just like for 2-3 rounds, and like they have that double XP right now happening for the weapons, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so fucking slow, even with the double XP. It's just like, it needs to be faster. It's just not exciting or interesting whatsoever. So they need to address the progression. They haven't addressed the progression, so that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, so blog post is exciting. Some questions, but we're moving on the right track. And I will talk about it a bit later, but there's definitely a shift that happened inside the studio. Last episode I was talking about, well, yeah, they say they want to address the feedback. But are they addressing the feedback? Are they just doing catch-up because the game was not supposed to release a couple of months ago? It was supposed to release in a couple of months now. Like it was supposed to release March or April this year. So are they doing catch-up? Are they actually addressing the feedback? And if you take this blog post at face value, sounds like they are addressing the feedback. And they're improving stuff that people requested that needs to be improved. Not everything, of course. But still, we're moving to the right direction. So positivity all time high, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so let's talk about the maps quickly, so because I just want to talk about certain stuff. But before we do that, quick mention of our Patreon. Okay, I know, you're already listening to me rambling for a while, and you just want to go straight to the Battlefield news, but just give me a minute or two to tell you about our Patreon, because without our Patreon, this podcast would not exist, this show would not exist. So, thanks to our Patreon supporters, this show exists, that's how we improve, that's, thanks to them, to their financial support, we can improve the show, we can add music, we can edit and everything, we can do all the load of stuff, That's why the podcast has been consistent for the last 7-8 months, every week, a new episode every week. There's a reason why, because of Patreon. It's thanks to you guys that we can do this on a regular basis and be consistent with everything and still provide you a good show. So patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for all the support. And if you're, I don't want you to subscribe or donate us, money for the sake of just giving us money, just because you like us. No. I wanted to get something out of it, so of course you get early access, ad-free access to your future episodes, 2 days early. That's why I'm recording this on a Friday and Ray's not available because he's doing a 12-hour shift, is because, Patreon supporters need to get their early access. They're paying for it, so that's the least they can do. Like that's that. I have to, you're paying, you get something of it. That's only fair, that's the contract, that's the deal, that's the agreement we have, you and me, And of course, if we are recording, me and Ray, you're gonna get early, you're gonna get live behind the scenes, how we record all that kind of stuff, the live streams and everything. So you also get, you're gonna see how the sausage is being made. So that's that. And of course, we have live gaming gathering. We have over 50 episodes of us just talking. Me, Ray, my friends, just gather around and talk about something that we care about, whatever the case may be. It would be video games, movies, friendship, live stuff, AI, or something else, something stupid. Last episode, we just really last week we released our episode on Patreon, live gaming gathering, episode 57, I think. It's just us talking about, just us, me and Ray catching up, on life. What's the plan for the future, with his child coming, coming soon, all that kind of stuff. So we just did a catch-up episode and just talked about something that we like, My love for the Division right now is very strong, and I'm talking about it a little bit, and we just talk about video games. Anyway, I'm gonna stop mumbling about, but anyway, and of course you get a brand new show called Lanky Uncensored. It's basically, if you love my voice, you just can listen to my voice even more. It's basically being hosted by yours truly, me, where I talk about everything I feel like, everything that is behind the scenes, or everything that is happening in my life, with no filter, fully uncensored, anything that is on my mind, just like, no notes, no nothing, just straight up talk everything I feel like it. And some people did enjoy that, so thank you guys for listening. So, and of course there's other stuff like longer videos, all that kind of stuff, and so on. But anyway, long story short, thank you guys for supporting me and supporting the show, supporting Ray, all that kind of stuff. Patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. If it wasn't for you guys, this podcast wouldn't exist. And thank you guys for supporting, thank you for enjoying the show, thank you for everything you guys did to us, Thank you for interacting, thank you for joining our Discord, and of course, like I said, you can join our Discord, everything is in the link and all that kind of stuff, so thank you so much. If it wasn't for you guys, this podcast would not exist. So thank you so much. So anyway, let's go back to talk about Battlefield. So patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. Thank you for all the support. Go get your early access, go get all the bonus episodes, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you so much. Alright, so, the maps. Let's talk about the map that we're gonna get in Season 2. It's a launch map. It's called Contaminated. It's the launch map for Season 2. And from the quick look, from what I've seen from the images that they released, and the leaks that we seen from the playtest, from the Chinese people somehow hacking the game and just seeing everything. So from what I've seen, visually, the map looks very visually pleasing. I like it. I like the style. It's clearly Europe, has that European flavor to it, which is fantastic. I love that. Visually, it looks really pleasing. It's a foresty area. It's a mountain in the distance and all that kind of stuff. I think visually, it's a very interesting map. One of the more interesting maps in the game, which is good. That's fantastic. It's based in south of Germany, Bavaria, right on the border with Austria. Lots of Monte Grappa vibes from Battlefield 1, but modern, right? And that's a good thing. And I remember when I was playing Battlefield 1, Monte Grappa was not my favorite map. But when it comes to just the visual spectacle, how the map looks and how it feels and everything, I think it was a really unique and interesting map. I really enjoy Monte Grappa for what it is, right? Not my favorite from the bunch, of course not. But it was an interesting map that gave a good, nice feeling. Like you were enjoying playing on that map. So I hope that Contaminated on this new map in Battlefield 6 will give me the same feeling. Now, of course, I promised you many months ago when I was doing the single player review for Battlefield 6. I promised you all that I will not cover any lore stuff for Battlefield 6 or any future Battlefield games anymore. Because unless it's a reboot, because the story, the whole universe of Battlefield makes no sense. Loads of potholes, loads of nonsense, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And basically the story behind this map, I just want to mention this just because this kind of proves my point exactly. The story behind the map is basically, okay, so as far as we know, all the NATO countries left the Union, the organization, and the only ones that are still in NATO is USA, United Kingdom, and Egypt for some reason, joined NATO. I'm like, okay, whatever. So that's that. So we have 3 nations basically, and all the rest of the European nations left NATO. Okay. So where does this map is taking place? This map is taking place, like I said, on the south of Germany, so in the middle of Europe, on the edge with the border of Austria, and it's a NATO base? I thought Germany left NATO in this game. So why are we fighting a NATO base in the middle of Germany when Germany left? The logistics don't make sense in my eyes, and of course you could probably explain somehow why there's a NATO base when Germany left NATO. Sure, but then again, why you not? See, it raises more questions and just stupid. So I refuse to entertain this idea, and that's it. That's all I want to say. It's just basically like the logistics don't make sense to me, and maybe it's a retcon. Maybe Germany never left NATO, or there's like a bit of neutral thing happening here. But you know what? It's not explained. It's not explained. We don't know, and honestly, I don't care. Because I promise to you all, I'm not gonna do any lore stuff because it makes no sense. Because the whole lore makes no fucking sense. And this is no different. So, that's that. So, whatever. So, how's the layout? The layout is very simple, actually. It looks like a typical Battlefield 6 map, which people might get a bit worried when they see that layout. Seems like another very small infantry type of map. Because there's no jets. There's helis, but there's no jets. There's 2 tanks on each side, and I think 2-3 LEVs. So basically, it's like a infantry slash I don't know what to call it. It's like a typical Battlefield 6 map, like no jets and everything, and helis on attack helicopter on each side, and little bird. I'm like, okay, cool. From the layout, from the screen, it looks very small. But when you play when you play on the map, it has like tunnels inside, and I think one of the objectives is literally inside the tunnel, the bunker. There's like some elevation, there's like some actually, verticality on the map, and like it looks so much bigger. It looks so much bigger than the layout might fool you. And according to Battlefield Studios, this map is the same size as Arras from Battlefield 5 and Saint Quentin Scar from Battlefield 1. And those maps were fantastic in my opinion. They're not the greatest maps, but they were really good maps and good size maps, honestly. They were good size maps. And especially I loved Arras from Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5, when it comes to like maps, was actually pretty okay actually. The map selection was actually pretty good in Battlefield 5. Better than Battlefield 1, for sure. Battlefield 1 did not have really good maps. But Battlefield 5, yeah, I think it had really good maps. Even though the game is questionable. But not the point, I will not talk about those games. I think those maps were fantastic. So Contaminated is basically that. Basically, it's that type of size map, which is much bigger than any Battlefield 6 map, which is great. And it has some verticality, and the visuals and everything look really fantastic. I kind of like it. Granted, my opinion might change when the game when this map comes out and I play the map for the first time. My opinion might change really fast. Because, for example, I like Myrick Valley when it came out. So Myrick Valley was a top tier map when it came out. Like when this game came out, it was a top tier map for me. And if you watched our episode where we did map rankings, I think it was like 6 episodes ago, when we did map rankings, Myrick Valley is like just mid, just in the middle, just literally in the middle. It's not top tier anymore, it's in the middle. After playing for a while, I'm like, that map is not that good as I imagined it will be. So Contaminated has, this new Season 2 map, Contaminated, it has a chance to be top tier map. It has to be, superior or really good map. Will it be like that when the map comes out? We will see. But so far, I have really high hopes for this map. So far. But I did see a big problem though. The airspace for the map is very tight. Again. So like with all typical Battlefield 6 map, the airspace for for air vehicles, which is helicopters, it's very tight. It's very tight and it's like really small, and I don't like that. Even though I don't fly helicopters, and there's like a jet flying above my head right now as we speak. I don't fly helicopters, I don't fly air vehicles because I'm not really good with them. I'm a tank driver mostly. And kind of unfortunate because I have a couple of friends that are actually pilots, Battlefield pilots and everything, and they're really good at it. I can imagine them gonna be complaining about this non-stop. It's like, well, why is this so small? Again, like with typical any typical Battlefield 6 map, like why the flight ceiling and the area is so freaking small, which I fully understand. So, but yeah, going just to wrap this up quickly. From the first look, I have a feeling I will enjoy this map. I have a feeling I will enjoy this map, and it might be my top 3 maps in Battlefield 6. We will see if that will be the case when the map is going to come out and I will play it for the first time. I will not play it on the playtest because I don't have access to labs for some reason still. Actually, you know what? Let's quickly check the email. Quickly, let's check the email. And we're actually bothering developers and community managers about this because this is so stupid. Everyone I know still don't have access to Battlefield Labs. Don't know why. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. No, nothing. So yeah, I will not play in the playtest whatsoever. That's not happening. We'll see if the map is good. I have high hopes for this map, and I think people will enjoy it. If the league, like everything I've seen so far, the map looks really good. So I hope people will react to the map really good. So, and I hope I will react to the map really good because I hope it's going to be a really good map that I actually will have a reason to go back and play. So we'll see that. Anyway, so let's move to the next map, which is the main bombshell, which is Golmud Railway. So, Golmud Railway. A Battlefield map from Battlefield 4. So, it's a map from Battlefield 4. It was the vanilla map. It was one of the launch maps for Battlefield 4 back in 2013. It's a very big map. Very vehicle heavy. And loads of... I don't know how to describe it. Okay, so just go on Google, wherever. If you never heard of this map, you have no idea how this map plays, please Google Golmud Railway. It's a very interesting map. Like, it kind of works for infantry, but at the same time, it only works... Like, Golmud Railway has loads of people that love the map passionately, because back in Battlefield 4, there's still 24/7 servers just running Golmud Railway non-stop with 2,000 tickets or whatever the case may be, right? There's still servers like that, because Golmud Railway is that one of those fan favorite maps, but at the same time it's not really good. But it kind of is, but it's a very mixed bag type of map, right? It's a very unique map, and a very empty space map, unless you're fighting in the middle of for the objectives, which actually has buildings and everything, but then you destroy the buildings, there's no cover whatsoever, and it becomes a clusterfuck. Anyway, it's a very unique, interesting map. I remember I used to like Golmud Railway, but it was not that great in certain cases. Like, if I was running tank, if I was driving the tank, it was a really good map. If I was running infantry, different story. It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. So that's what I'm saying. It's a very mixed bag type of map. So Battlefield Studios announced, hey, we're remaking Golmud Railway for Battlefield 6. It's not coming for Season 2. It might not even come for Season 3. It sounds like they only just started working on this map just now. So they've been working on this map for like maybe a month, maybe. So rough estimate, I would say, yeah, either Season 3 or Season 4. You know, that if... I mean, maybe even... I don't know, Season 5 is a bit too far. But Season 3 and Season 4... Yeah, that's when the map is probably going to come out. Season 3 or 4. Maybe even Season 4. Actually, the more realistic thing would be Season 4. Because if they start working on this map just now... And the way they basically say in the blog post is like, hey, we're going to use this map as a testing ground for our, stuff. Like improving the jets, because the map is very big and it's perfect for jets and helicopters. The tanks, redesigning the vehicle gameplay, And of course, improving the infantry combat, because all the infantry is fighting in the middle of the map, all the tanks fighting on the edge of the objectives, and the vehicles are, air vehicles, jets and helicopters are flying all over the map, because it's so huge. Golmud Railway is a huge map, so they're gonna use this as a testing ground for everything that happens in Battlefield Labs. And then there's actually a big chance that when Golmud Railway is finally gonna be in Labs, there's a big chance that the map will come out as a white box actually. So what's a white box? White box is basically a map, a map in a first-person shooter, a video game, whatever, like just a video game map, right? It's basically a map, but it has no textures. So imagine Golmud Railway having no textures. It's just a white default color, with grid and everything. It's a grid map, right? The ground is basically white. It's just like a grid. The buildings have no textures, just 3D objects with no color or anything. And I have a feeling that's how they're gonna do it. If they start working on the map just now, they might do that. They just might drop just like, hey, here's a white box map. We're still working on the layout. We're still working on the locations and everything, because it's not a port. They said it's not gonna be a port. It's gonna be a complete remake for Battlefield 6 to make sense for the game of Battlefield 6, because Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 6 are completely different games, and the games you can't just port maps, right? Because also, if you listen to this podcast for more than 30 episodes, if you listen to us back in last year March, maybe we had three people on the podcast, which was me, Ray, and our friend Andre. And we talked about how developers can't open the editor for Battlefield 4 anymore. So they can't just go on Battlefield 4 and port the map to Battlefield 6. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't, because of licensing, all that kind of stuff. They can't open an editor for Battlefield 4. The files are still there probably, but they can't really just port the map because they don't have access to the editor anymore to edit anything on Battlefield 4. So that's a fun fact for you all. So I can't remember which episode was it. Maybe 37, 38, I don't remember. But long story short, this is definitely, they're gonna remake the whole map from scratch for Battlefield 6. Fair. And it's, like I said, it's gonna be it will be a testing ground for all the technologies they have in the game. All right, and which I kind of want to mention that. And of course, the reaction from the Battlefield community was basically, from all the maps you could pick, why this? We want big maps. Battlefield Studios provide a big map, and they're like, no, not this one. So which one do you want? But people say Parasol Storm, because naval combat. Yeah, but we know naval combat is not coming because they still haven't worked on naval combat. And this is basically the whole team for Battlefield 6. So Battlefield 6, like I mentioned earlier on this episode, Battlefield 6 was not supposed to come out 3 months ago? 4 months ago? It was not supposed to come out 3-4 months ago. It was supposed to come out in 2-3 months from now. It was supposed to come out 3 months. It was supposed to come out March or April in that timeline for 2026. So this year, right? So if I'm doing this this episode right now, we'll be talking about the speculation of Battlefield 6, unless there will be some lab stuff happening. Actually, let me quickly have a sip of water. That's what happens when you talk for yourself for an hour. So, we were talking the speculation for Battlefield 6. What kind of, what we're going to see in the game. But the game is out quite early. And there was a developer that I know personally. And basically, his name is Julian. And he works at Ripple Effect, and he's a very amazing engineer. He does a lot of stuff. Like, he's a very valuable developer at EA, not only Ripple Effect, but the whole EA, the whole franchise. This guy knows what he's doing. He's a very amazing programmer in code and all that kind of stuff. He's really amazing, and he does a lot of stuff for Battlefield. So he basically mentioned that, hey, he's kind of happy that they announced that they're going with Golmud Railway. And this is what he said, I'm quoting. We have to create some unique technology, or tech, of the map with the current version of Battlefield engine. I personally had the opposite reaction. I couldn't have picked an easier map. So people were saying like, oh, why Golmud Railway? And Julian basically says, I had an opposite reaction. Perfect. Golmud Railway is like the perfect map for that, you know? And P.S. the core gameplay unrelated. My first Battlefield Easter egg was in Golmud, the Yeti, and so on. And the rest is not important. So basically what it tells us, like they mentioned the blog post, this is a playground, you know, it's a perfect map to test everything possible with Battlefield 6, except naval combat. So, like I said, the game was not supposed to come out a couple of months ago. It was supposed to come out in the future from now, right? That's what the original, you know, release date was supposed to be. Now, the game released, best-selling game of the year, literally the best-selling game of the year, which is unheard of for a Battlefield game. So I guess they played their cards right. Good for them. But now they didn't catch it, basically. Now they have to, you know, they have labs. They have to rebuild all the technologies for this new Battlefield engine they have right now. So when I say that, hey, tech, right? I just think it was as an idea like, okay, so last episode I was talking about propaganda. Like, okay, bringing propaganda will be really amazing for the game. But then I was like thinking, wait, propaganda has a moving train that kills you instantly if you're just in the way of the train. Like, it doesn't sound too complicated, right? But it probably is. And I was thinking, but wait, Battlefield 6 has nothing in its core that is like that dynamic, right? It has nothing in Battlefield 6 has nothing dynamic that would just like would be this that you could interact with and so on, like so-called evolution, right? There's nothing that dynamic in the game. And I was just thinking, oh, they're not gonna do the train. I don't think they will. I think they're gonna do like, you know, the whole train is destroyed, right? It's like derailed, and it's just like it's basically more cover, you know, in the middle of the road, in the middle of the map. I was thinking they're gonna do that, but I don't know what they just say. Hey, we're gonna remake Golmud Railway, which is a perfect map because it's the easiest map to remake. So that's one. And two, it's like the perfect map to test all the technology they have in the game, or create new technology, or recreate the technology. And what does Golmud Railway has that other Battlefield 6 maps don't? A train that moves. And it's a flag. So back in Battlefield 4, there was a train in the middle of the map. If you captured that map, you know, on Golmud Railway, you capture that train, the train moves back to your home base. That becomes your home flag, right? And if you recapture the home flag, you know, that train, that objective on the train starts to move towards the other base, whoever controls the flag, right? So if Pax Armada controls the train will go, which is the moving flag itself, towards the Pax. And if you control as a NATO NATO faction, the train will go towards a NATO faction base. See, that kind of stuff is not available in Battlefield 6. You know, that's technology, technologia, whatever you want to call it, right? That's technology that needs to be redone for Battlefield 6. And that's what Julian is basically saying. Loads of stuff needs to be recreated for this new Battlefield engine. Because this Battlefield engine got an upgrade and so on. And whether you agree or disagree that the engine is not that great, and we had loads of stuff in Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1, and we lost it somehow in the process. But then again, that's what happens with modern technology. It's nothing to do with like, oh, it was better or no. No, the engine is definitely much better these days than it was back then. Loads of stuff is being fixed, loads of stuff being improved, all that kind of stuff. Don't get that impression that the old engines were so much better. They were not. They were all, you know, being held by spaghetti codes. And of course, new engines probably not different, but probably is actually. But like, engines need to be improved. They always need to be worked on because there's stuff that needs to be fixed and so on. And that this is no different. So maybe back then, working on those features was a complicated business. But if we can recreate them from scratch, you know, all this technology into this new Battlefield engine, you know, air radar, moving trains, all that kind of stuff, you know, whatever the case may be, right? if we can remake that technology from scratch and make it better, so anyone else can work on this feature and improve it without breaking anything else, great. That's kind of the point. So that's the point. So that's why Julian is very happy that management or whoever who's making these decisions, what kind of maps to bring to the game, decide, you know what, no, we need to make Golmud because it's the perfect map for all our testing. You know? And labs and everything, and get some goodwill, get some free publicity, some content, all that kind of stuff. Great. And that's why I said on last podcast, on the last episode, like I said, propaganda. They probably won't have a moving train because they don't have the technology for that. And next thing you know, as I record that episode, a week later, Julian comes out, yeah, we don't have the technology we have to remake it. This is why you listen to Battlefield 1 podcast. We know our shit. That's why you listen to this whole podcast. We know our shit. So that's that. So that's why Golmud Railway was picked. That's why. And speaking of propaganda is nowhere to be seen. Like, it was never mentioned. And from what the labs leakers, people that go on labs, build and just go to the files and see what they have, what they can find and everything. From what I've seen, the labs is doesn't look like propaganda is going to be up for season 2, which is quite unfortunate. But hey, after hearing the Golmud Railway news that, hey, we're remaking this to remake some technologies, that means propaganda is not coming season 2. This doesn't seem like it's coming for season 2. And looks like it's not even coming for season 3. So, kind of unfortunate. The big chance we're gonna get propaganda than season 4, season 5. I don't think I like that because I would love to have propaganda as early as possible because it's such a good map. I was really looking forward to having propaganda on the map, but seems like we won't have it because the technology is not there. And when I say technology is not there, they don't have the technology to make the stupid train go around the map and killing people. That's a lost ancient technology, it seems. But I understand why. So, kind of unfortunate. Really unfortunate. But that's the reality. So, it looks like we're not getting propaganda this season. And it seems like we're not gonna get it for season 3 or season 4 either. Maybe season 4. Season 5, maybe. Or maybe propaganda will come out with Golmud Railway. Maybe. We will see. But yeah, that's that. And the reactions, of course, did I mention the reactions? I think I mentioned that the reactions, like people like, oh, why this map and so on. It's like, you know what? People screaming for Battlefield 6 to have big maps. And Golmud Railway, it's such a unique Battlefield map. You know what? Fuck it. Just have it. That's fine. You know what? Just have it in the game. Some people will be happy, and that's fine. Some people will be unhappy, but that's okay. You can play other maps. I'm indifferent. Just for me, it's like, oh, so we're basically going back to the past. Basically, we're trying to replicate the same feeling we had back then in Battlefield 4. Back 10 years ago. Which is not a bad thing. A bit of nostalgia. That's a thing that brings people back. Nostalgia is a powerful thing. But I hope they won't go too hard with the nostalgia because it's just like, it's one of those things that you don't want to lean too hard. But then again, I can say the same thing about propaganda. I would love to see propaganda in the game. But hey, if they don't have the tech to make it yet, well, who am I to judge, right? Just give me some good maps, right? Give me good updates for Battlefield 6. That's all it is. So that's that. So, yeah, I'm okay with Golmud Railway. Not happy, but I'm okay. You know what? I will not judge like it's the worst thing ever. I would pick a different map, of course. I've seen Battlefield veterans, right? A lot of people that play all the Battlefield games. They all have kind of the same sentiment as me, the same opinion. It's like, yeah, kind of cool, but you could have picked a different map. It is what it is. So, it's fine. It's whatever. If people are happy, good for all of us. That's the most important thing. So, okay, let's just moving on to leaks, I guess. Actually, no, before leaks, I just want to mention this quickly. So, it's not really more like a topic, more just like a mention quickly. So I did mention at the start of the episode that there was a shift, that something happened inside the studio between the launch of the game and Season 1 in New Year's. So something happened inside the studio that like this feel after reading this blog post, you know, and with the Season 2 delay and all that kind of stuff that we already said is probably gonna happen back in December. Back in December, we said, hey, the season will be delayed because it gives us that impression they will be delayed, and there was like some mistakes that they did, and we noticed, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, season 2 will be delayed. Season 2 got delayed. Then they released this blog post that, hey, Labs is coming back. We're remaking Golmud, a map that they just literally started working on just now. They just started working on. So that means the decision was made like a month ago, maybe like a month and a half, and there was a strong pivot happening inside the studio regarding this game. So we know that they're trying to make this game to survive as long as possible, like any Battlefield game. But for some reason, but this is a perfect live service. The sold well and everything. There's loads of things they can do with this game. So last blog post they mentioned we want to address the feedback that you guys provided us, and we can improve Season 2 to be a much better season and live service, all that kind of stuff. Great. I did not take that blog post at face value because for obvious reasons, because it's just PR at the end of the day. But looks like reading this blog post again, if we take this at face value, it looks like they were truthful to their statements and they are addressing the feedback that they gathered, and they will try to improve the game according to their feedback. Of course, they don't have to do everything that the feedback is providing, the feedback is saying, like, oh bigger maps. It doesn't mean all the maps will be Golmud railway size maps. Yeah, no. You're still getting the new Season 2 map, Contaminated, even though that was planned ages ago. But still, like, I think we're gonna get much better maps as time goes on. I think the game will be, well, of course the game will be updated, but I think they're addressing all the important feedback, the important problems that need to be fixed. So they're clearly doing that. So if we take this blog post at face value, including the last one that they released last week about the Season 2 delay, looks like they're doing that. So something happened inside the studio between the launch of the game and Season 1. This is a completely different tone and shift with the game. Now, of course, it's still the same developers, same people, and all the kind of stuff. And something happened. Someone looked at the data, looked at all that's happening, all the feedback and all that kind of stuff. Again, this is the same David Sirland, the head of one of the main people that created Battlefield 4 community test environment. And Battlefield community test environment was basically, hey, we have something that we want to make. Here's the build of the game. In a separate build of Battlefield 4, and test it out, see how it feels. You like it, you hate it, whatever the case may be. If you like it, we'll continue working on it. If you hate it, we'll just scrap it. And they said in the blog post they want to experiment with new stuff. They want to experiment some wacky ideas that may or may not work. And when you have a willing player base that have access to labs, which I don't, come on, give us labs access, please. It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. So some, like, the shift that happened, they pivoted. They clearly pivoted to something that the Battlefield community really wants. They learned all the feedback about the multiplayer, aspect of Battlefield 6, how people feel about it, all that kind of stuff, what kind of maps could be worked on this game, and all that kind of stuff. It's gonna be good. I think all the future maps and everything we're gonna get is gonna be really good. But yeah, a shift definitely happened and so on. And of course, RedSec is gonna get so much more love, it seems, which I'm glad, because I do prefer playing RedSec than multiplayer. Multiplayer can keep me entertained for so long. It's just like I don't care, honestly, other than day, because I want something more exciting, Oh, my cat is like, he's on my table right now. I'm holding him, so I'm just making sure he doesn't press anything on my keyboard. So yeah, definitely a shift happened, and I'm really curious what kind of shift happened. What's the plan now? They did mention last blog post they're gonna do in February. They're gonna do a big roadmap for Battlefield 6 for 2026. Like I said in the last episode, I'm really interested in that one. I'm really curious what kind of plans you have for this game. I'm really curious. I really want to know what kind of plans you have for this game. So we will see. And yeah, that's a really just interesting fact to me. And just going back on the previous conversation, like I said with the developer Julian, they had to rebuild technology for this new Battlefield engine they have right now for Battlefield 6. So loads of stuff needs to be rebuilt, and I hope they're gonna rebuild it nicely and well, and we can move on to make the game much better. So yeah, I just find it really fascinating. All right, quick mention of Battle Royale Solos. So RedSec, like I said, I really love RedSec. It's not perfect and so on. You should listen to the previous episode. 2 episodes ago, me and Ray talked about RedSec, the good, the bad, and what needs to be changed, you know. But Battlefield RedSec is really interesting, really fun Battle Royale mode, and everyone been screaming for Battle Royale Solos. We need solos. We just really need solos. I've been complaining about lack of solos for a while, because the brain dead teammates I get in solos, not solos, in duos or quads, I just want to rip my hair out, because I want to kill someone, or I want to kill myself, because I don't understand why I'm being matchmade with level 2s, level 3 players, or even level 50s. That doesn't matter what level they are. They're absolutely brain dead. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no clue where they are, how to shoot a weapon. Just simple basic stuff, right? They don't know what to do, and I don't want to experience that again. When I'm playing with friends, yeah, I'll play RedSec with friends because it's more fun, because we are more organized and more fun, you know? And loads of people just matchmake, and they have absolutely brain dead. They have no idea what they're doing. Now, of course, people say well, they can play the game wherever they want. They can vibe and everything. Then okay, sure. Why not add a rank mode or something? Sure, it's a completely different conversation entirely. But we really need solos, because I'm sick of playing with these brain dead players, and it's just that's one of the reasons why I start playing less of Battlefield 6 and RedSec in the last couple of weeks. Because hey, I achieved everything I could as a player, which is great, but I'm just so pissed at the recent drama that happened in Marvel Rivals, right? If you haven't been paying attention, so Marvel Rivals had this tournament, right? And it was for money, of course, like 40k, all that kind of stuff, right? Like 40k win prize or whatever the case may be, right? Like money, right? And it was like a content creator type of tournament, something like that. And this guy, I can't remember his name. He got put in a team with other 3 people, which happened to be female, but which became a bigger story here than it's supposed to be. But he basically, hey, he's the best player in the team. He wanted to win the money for his college education, all that kind of stuff. And the teammates in his team just did not take it seriously. They did not care. They called him toxic. They called him names and everything, because my dude wanted to win. And he was not toxic. He was just telling, hey, can you switch your character to a different character? Because the enemy team knows what we're doing, and they're kicking our asses. And as far as I know, they finished dead last, or seventh place out of 8. So they were basically steamrolled, right? They completely destroyed. And it's all because the dude was trying his best. He was a really good player, but his teammates did not care. They're just there for the vibes. And my favorite quote from all that drama that happened in Marvel Rivals is basically one of his teammates basically said, "Oh, you want your money? I want my I want a calm peace of mind," or something like that. Like, it's just, so you're not there. Like, why are you participating in a tournament if you're not there to win? Same thing with Battle Royales, right? Why you matchmake if you don't want to win? Why you dragging yourself down and everyone else in the process for your vibe? If you're logging in to play RedSec and you're just there to vibe, I will hate you. I'm sorry. Vibe in multiplayer where the stakes are not important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a professional player. I'm not playing here for money. But I want to win. I want to win. It's a battle royale. The purpose of the battle royale is to win, be the last man standing. And when you're just logging in and you're just like, oh, why are you being so toxic? Why you don't care? I just want to hear to vibe. Then go play multiplayer. Go play multiplayer. Don't play modes like that. Same thing or one life modes like, search and destroy or whatever the case may be. I'm just here vibing. I don't care about your vibe. I'm here to win. And if you don't want to win, piss off. And solos at least will mitigate some of the problems because I'm gonna focus on myself. I want to win, and I will do my best to win. And that's why a lot of people want that. A lot of people want solos for obvious reasons because they're sick of their teammates, because they're brain dead. It's the reality. Unless they have friends, that's a different story. But when it comes to random players playing and just matchmake with you, absolute brain dead players. I just yeah. So that's that. Just a quick mention. So they're gonna test it in BR solos in labs. It's gonna be a different experience from duos and quads. Cool. All right, that's great. Can I have a labs invitation, please? Well, or don't, because I can talk about it on the podcast because I don't have to sign NDA. All right, so let's go through some quick leaks. All right, quick leaks that happened that people leaked from the labs build. So, trailer got leaked. So the trailer for the season, for the map and all that kind of stuff, that got leaked. That's fine. Tells the story. Don't care. Some gameplay leaked, of course. We're already seeing it on Reddit, all stuff. That's fine. Whatever. The map layout, the map details. That's cool. Class logo got changed. They changed the engineer class from the bolt to a wrench. So that's cool. So now you won't confuse recon with engineer because they both have similar circular logos. They changed the engineer class, which I know it took them a lot of guts because all the class logos are part of their big marketing, and now they changed the class to make it more easy to understand who's class which. So the soul class is still the same as soul class. So it's a triangle logo. The engineer is gonna have a wrench, so you can tell it's an engineer. The support is still the same, and the recon has that square aiming thing, whatever. So the class, it feels a bit, the wrench feels a bit out of place. I have to agree. It feels a bit out of place. So I hope it's a work in progress, and they're gonna improve the logo a little bit. But the logo looks a bit out of place compared to everything else. Maybe because we got used to it. But I think it needs to be improved a little bit. We'll see. But they're definitely changing the logo. That's for sure. That's in the labs. Going deeper to something that you could not leak just from looking at the game and so on, like something more deeper into the game files. Comparative details got leaked. So when I say comparative details, they're definitely working on stuff ranked / comparative system ladder for Battlefield 6. Now, we don't know if it's for Battlefield 6 multiplayer or for RedSec. Big chance it might be for RedSec. So, who knows? So, nice to know that the comparative stuff is being worked on in the background. That thing is being worked, and that made me really happy. So, comparative stuff, comparative deals, there's not much to say about. It's just that comparative was being worked on. I'm quickly checking what's it called? Who leaked it? That the comparative stuff is happening. Okay, here you go. So he says, I found ranked and comparative mentions in the news labs build. Includes comparative season and a specific type of rank different from the career / mastery. Take this information with a grain of salt. since I'm not a proper data miner. Okay, so he just found some wording there that it says that they're working on some sort of rank/competitive season, whatever the case may be. Whatever that may be. So that's interesting. So that's good to know they're being worked on in some shape or form. This one though, the operations. Anyone remember operations for Battlefield 1? Seems like it's being added or being worked on for Season 2, maybe. So operations seems like it's coming back. So of course a lot of people will say like, what was the difference between breakthrough and operations? That's basically the same. Yeah, I agree. But operations is basically involving 2 different maps. That's the thing. It involves 2 different maps. So far, as far as we know from the leaks, Myrick Valley, Liberation Peak, and the new map Contaminated, that's what it's called? Yeah, Contaminated, is powered at this operations. So it's very interesting that people are really they work on operations. That's will make a lot of people happy, which I personally don't really care, because operations was never my thing. I never really liked operations. But the reason why operations was so good in Battlefield 1 comparing to Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 2042, which is basically breakthrough, it's because operations Battlefield 1 was like an experience, right? The gameplay was meh, but you were there for the experience, you were there for the cinematic storytelling, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Like, it was an experience. It was something different from everything else, and you're just there, literally vibes. It was vibes. I don't know if they can replicate the same thing for Battlefield 6. I guess you could. For example, what kind of can you add behemoths? Okay, what kind of modern behemoths we could have on Myrick Valley, Liberation Peak, and the new map Contaminate? AC-130 maybe. I don't know, something else. Like I can't think of anything right now, but behemoths were kind of a big part of it, unless it's like Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5 was interesting, but needed loads of work, needed a lot of work. So maybe they learned their lessons, and maybe they can improve for Battlefield 6 with these 3 maps. Apparently these are the starting maps, so this is the ones they're working on right now. So yeah, we'll see, I guess. So that got mentioned. That got mentioned in the files. So that's that. And of course, loads of skins got leaked. That's not that important. There's no point to tell you about skins. I did go through them. I did go through some leaks. Skins that got leaked from the files. 2 of them really have the drip. 2 of the skins, I'm like, you know what? Okay. Now you tease me. The rest of it look like generic soldiers with sure, they look good, but they're I know people love generic soldiers, but then don't look interesting or unique or whatever. And there were 2 soldier skins I saw. There were maybe 3 that literally had the drip on them, and I'm like, ooh, that's good. I would actually pay money for that. That's good. That looks really good. So I wonder when they're gonna come out, and when they're gonna come out. How actually? Is it gonna be a battle pass? Is it gonna be the mini pass? Is it gonna be a paid skin? Whatever the case may be. They looked really cool. So we'll see. So that's all the leaks that happened. Okay, so oh my god, we've been talking for that long. Okay, quick mention about Labs, one more thing, and we can end the podcast. So me and everyone else, as in content creators, and some people in the Battlefield community, we've been screaming. If we have it on record since last year, March, February, whatever the case may be. Anyway, when Battlefield Labs was announced, back then we did an episode, and me and Ray were talking about it, and I said they're gonna drop NDA after the first or second playtest. Long story short, quick, jump to the present. They haven't dropped NDA for the Battlefield Labs. And as far as I know, people that I know, majority of it don't even have access to Labs. And the reason that got access to Labs are specific people that got invited somehow specifically because they know someone. I don't understand how they pick people for Battlefield Labs, and what is the criteria, how they choose the people and everything. But everything I've seen about it just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. I don't understand how you find these people. I don't understand how you pick these people. Why is it so hard to add more people and everything? Do we need to re-register again? We have no idea. And also, speaking of, like, so that's the pick, they pick people. That's one. And two, why do you have NDA? I don't understand. The pre-launch, you know what? Fine. Haven't playtest before the launch day? Right, sure. You know what? I understand that. After launch, wasted potential. Absolutely wasted potential. I don't understand how they pick people, and I don't understand why the NDA there is in the first place. That shit gets leaked instantly as soon as you you let us install a build on our computers. As soon as you do that, people will leak it. People will data mine the shit of it. They will find everything in that game file that we're not supposed to see. And I hope they realize that. I hope that Battlefield Studios, whoever's running Labs right now, do understand that shit's gonna get leaked. And someone needs to go. I'm pretty sure this is legal. Like, okay, I know David Sirlin personally, not like we best buddies, whatever. No, I just know him personally, right? And I talked to him many times about everything, about Battlefield and that stuff. I know David Sirlin on a acquaintance, like, I don't know what to call him. Like, he's just a guy I know, and we talked a couple of times. And I know how his brain works. At least I understand how his brain works. I can assure that this NDA stuff, all that kind of stuff, that is not his idea. That he's not pushing for that idea. This is someone at legal, someone that doesn't understand, someone that has no experience how this works, or no one told him or her about how Battlefield community test environment community worked back in the day. This is someone that has no idea, or don't understand, or someone from legal or marketing, whatever. Someone, it has to be, really doesn't want stuff to be leaked. Maybe their job's on the line. I don't know what's the case, maybe, but someone doesn't really understand why NDA just doesn't work in this case, especially with the thing called Battlefield Labs. The spirit of Battlefield Labs is basically community test environment. If you want to make it NDA, that means you have to pick people specifically pick people, make them sign NDAs with their real names, with their everything on the line, right? I took part in private playtest organized by EA for Battlefield games for many playtests, right? And it was serious, it was important, everyone took it seriously, no one was like leaking anything. It was there like on mutual respect. And when you have Battlefield Labs, register to play Battlefield Labs, and then some idiot gets invited with minimal scanning research, I don't know what to call it. There was a word in my head, but I forgot about it. I know someone screaming at me, like, anyway, so random people get invited, they leak the shit of it, and then you send a playtest to someone in China, right? Because, like, hey, Asian players, right? You want to test out the new features and everything? Of course they're gonna leak everything. It's just, like, obvious. Like, people are like, oh, Billy Baba, right? Like, the fucking Chinese YouTube is just leaking everything. It's like, of course that's gonna happen. It removed the NDA. And I've seen Westy, for example, that he says the same thing as I'm saying. You need to remove the NDA. And from what I've seen, yeah, I know David Stone is not the one pushing for the NDA. It's someone at legal, someone that has no idea how all of this works. It's like, no, we have to protect our assets. No, you're not protecting shit. You're not protecting shit. I don't know why. I don't even know. Okay, there's a reason why that NDA is in the first place. But I can assure you, whatever reason that person came up with for having NDA for labs is not a good reason. I can assure you. That person can throw that reason at me, and I can assure you, no, it's a dumb reason. Because there's no good reason to have it under NDA. Just there's no good reason. There's none. It's just none. They really need to remove the NDA, and Steam streamline the applications for Battlefield Labs somehow. You need to make it less confusing. You need to make this obvious and easy to understand that people can register and do their thing. You know, hey, I want to be in the Battlefield Labs. Okay, here's the NDA, here's everything you need to do, and so on. If you leak that shit, we'll know and we'll ban you. But that's even so. That's even with the NDA. I is saying that you don't need NDA. Let people promote that shit. Free marketing. Free marketing. Do it. You know, do it. You know, and the developers can talk about freely more about the ideas, what they want for this update, and so on, that kind of stuff. Like, it's a win-win for the developers and for the gameplay, for the gamers, right? For Battlefield players and so on. It's a win-win. We're having no NDA. Drop the NDA. Drop it. Even if you can't sort your labs, you know, invitations. All right, fine. Do your stupid way, the way you do it. Fine. But at least let people stream it, let people showcase it and so on. Like, drop the NDA. Put all the cards on the table, let everyone know what is going on, so people outside the playtests can give their feedback too, without, you know, any pixelated footage and then getting a wrong impression what the footage is and everything. Like, Ray talked about it on, I think, a couple of times. Like, give us the crystal clear footage, where what's happening, you know, the blog post and everything and so on, and tell us from experience and just actually, you know, let us give you feedback how we feel about this, right? Let us know, you know, show us the thing so we can give you feedback. Let me help you so you can help us. You know, like having a good game, a bad game, updated game, updates that just make sense, right? Drop the NDA. Just drop it. It makes no sense to keep it up to this day. Drop the NDA. It makes no sense. And sort out your invitations, please. So that's that. Okay, I got nothing else to say about. So, been talking for like, wow, now it's something 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, so long story short, blog post was really promising, showing loads of promising stuff. They're actually addressing the feedback. There was definitely a shift at Battlefield Studios to improve the game, to make it better, listen to the community, and hopefully they will come out really good. We're getting Golmud Railway back. I can't believe it. I could not believe it. They're gonna do it, but here we are. So if they're remaking Golmud Railway, can we get other maps then? Maybe can we remake other maps? I did mention that on Patreon, I think, many months ago. Like, hey, because we have Battlefield Labs, and they're dropping 128 players, you know, the 128 player madness, and go back to 64. That means you can remake any Battlefield map to date, because all the maps that were before in the other previous games were 64 player variants. That means any map is not out of the question. That's good. That's good. So that means we can remake any map we want. So that's that. So the blog post was really promising. The Labs playtest, all that kind of stuff. The map looks good, all that kind of stuff. And just hearing, you know, developers saying, hey, we're trying to recreate some of the technology for the new engine. I think that's really promising. I think that's really interesting and really exciting. So that's that. And yeah, I got nothing else to say. So just gonna say like, hey, guys, if you're still listening to my ramblings, thank you so much. Thank you so much for, you know, be involved with the podcast. Thank you for listening to my rambles. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you for leaving ratings, all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry that Ray is not available here, but like I said, there will be moments where Ray is not available a couple of times this year because he has a child coming up. He's moving states. Gonna be really busy. So, but the podcast, the show must go on. And I'll bring more guests. I have a list of people that I want to bring, so I will see if they want to come on, and we can have some nice, really fun conversations. So that's that. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for interacting. Of course, patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. Please support us. Just $2 or $5, up to you. Let us know how you feel about the podcast, support us, all that kind of stuff. So, my name is Tom, also known as TheLankySoldier. Thank you for listening to Battlefield 1 podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good day, have a good night, wherever your time zone is, and we'll see you guys on the battlefield.